If you've ever tried to sell, well, anything on Amazon, you know the feeling, right? It's like trying to get noticed in a massive shouting crowd. Everyone's yelling often about products that look almost identical to yours. And if you're selling something truly special, like, say, preserved flowers, that pressure, that constant race to the bottom on price, it can be really tough. You're left thinking, how do I make my product, the one I poured so much care into, actually stand out? Well, what if I told you there was a way? A way to signal trust, quality, and responsibility to a growing group of shoppers instantly. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly Badge. You've probably seen it, that little green leaf symbol. We're going to unpack what it really means, why it's becoming such a, well, a game changer for sellers, and how it connects to a massive shift in how people shop. Think of this as your guide to understanding a really crucial development in online retail, especially for markets like preserved flowers where values, really matter.
It's fascinating, actually. Amazon saw this growing demand for sustainable options,
Right.
and they didn't just acknowledge it. They built a whole system to reward it.
Yeah.
And this isn't just window dressing. It's not just a marketing gimmick. It's a strategic move.
Mm.
It directly affects how visible your product is
Yeah.
and, yeah, your sales. We're going to explore exactly why this badge can mean the difference between just being another listing
Yeah.
and being the product someone actively chooses because it aligns with their values. It changes the perception.
Okay, so let's talk more about that sea of sameness you mentioned. For preserved flowers, specifically, imagine scrolling through pages of preserved rose boxes. They all look pretty similar, maybe slight variations in color or box style. Good reviews, nice photos. It feels like the only lever left to pull is price right, which just squeezes margins. How do you break free from that?
That's precisely where the Climate Pledge Friendly Badge, or CPF, comes into play.
Ah.
Amazon launched it back in 2020. It's basically their way of flagging products that meet specific, verified sustainability standards. You see that little green leaf next to the listing? That's the signal. And it's becoming incredibly powerful because, and this is key, the fastest growing group of Amazon shoppers, they're not just looking for the cheapest option anymore. They are actively, deliberately searching for a sustainable product.
Yeah.
The CPF badge makes it super easy for them. It cuts through the noise. It's like a shortcut to trust.
Right, okay, so it's clearly important. But if I'm a seller, maybe like our hypothetical Sarah selling her roses, and I'm thinking, okay, how do I get this badge?
Yeah.
What does Amazon actually mean by climate pledge friendly? Is it complicated? What are the actual requirements?
That's the crucial question. And thankfully, Amazon defines it pretty clearly through two main pathways, not just one vague idea. The first path is through established third-party eco-certifications. Amazon recognizes, I think it's over 40 different ones now, a really wide range. So for preserved flowers, maybe your packaging uses paper certified by the FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council. That means it's sourced responsibly. Or maybe the dyes used for the flowers are certified non-toxic by an approved body. It's all about that external, credible validation. Then there's the second path, Amazon's own program called Compact by Design. This one's really interesting. It's very practical. It rewards products designed for efficiency in packaging and shipping. Basically, can you reduce the product size or weight without messing up the quality or the customer experience? Less packaging, less weight means a smaller environmental footprint during shipping. So think about preserved flowers again. Maybe it means using a slimmer acrylic box or reducing the size of the outer shipping carton just a bit, or perhaps simplifying the gift wrap element slightly. The surprising thing is many sellers might already be doing things that qualify, or they could get there with, pretty minor tweaks, like switching the card insert to FSC certified paper. It doesn't always require a massive product overhaul. It's often about smarter design choices.
That's a really good point about minimal adjustments. Do you think a lot of sellers maybe look at it and just assume it's this huge, costly undertaking? Like they think, oh, I'd have to completely change my supplier or my whole product, when maybe it's just tweaking the box size.
Oh, absolutely. That's a common hurdle. Sellers see certification or sustainability standard and immediately think complex audits, high costs, big supply chain changes. But especially with Compact by Design, it often aligns with things sellers want to do anyway, like optimizing packaging to save on shipping costs. It's smart business, really. The challenge is often just understanding the specific criteria and how to document it for Amazon. But yeah, the perception of difficulty can definitely hold people back.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's achievable. Let's talk impact. Beyond just looking good and appealing to certain buyers, what does this badge actually do for a seller? How does it help Sarah's preserved roses, for example, not just get seen, but actually get clicked on and bought?
The impact is pretty direct, and it happens in a few key ways. Visibility is the big one. That green badge shows up right there on the search results page. In a long list of similar items, it immediately catches the eye. It's also displayed prominently on the product detail page itself, constantly reinforcing that message of sustainability. And here's where the data gets really compelling. We looked at figures from Carbon 6, and they found something quite significant. Sellers who got the CPF badge saw, on average, a 12% increase in sales. 12%. And a 10% higher click-through rate. This was just in the first year. Those aren't small bumps. That's a serious competitive advantage in a crowded marketplace like Amazon. A 12% sales lift. That's massive. And think about preserved flour specifically. That green leaf sends a very clear signal. This product considers its environmental impact. For a product where people might have concerns about chemicals or waste, like preserved flowers, that badge basically pre-answers those questions. It builds trust up front.
Wow. Okay, so 12% sales increase, 10% click-through, that's definitely moving the needle. It helps individual shoppers, clearly. But does this advantage stop there? What about, say, bigger buyers, businesses making purchases, maybe institutions? Does the badge matter to them?
Yes, it absolutely does, particularly for buyers using Amazon Business. Think about universities, large companies, even government agencies. More and more, these organizations have official procurement policies now, sometimes called climate-restricted policies. That means they are actively required, or at least strongly encouraged, to buy products with proven sustainability credentials. The CPF badge makes those products the easy, often default choice. And this feeds into that broader trend we talked about. It's not just a niche thing. Amazon's own numbers show over 100 million customer purchases have shifted towards sustainable products since they launched the CPF program. That's a huge volume of spending moving towards greener options. People are actively choosing these products. Plus, there's the brand reputation aspect. In today's world, showing you're committed to sustainability isn't just nice to have, it's increasingly expected. And let's not forget gifting for preserved flowers, which are often gifts for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, anniversaries. This is crucial. When you give a gift, you want it to reflect well on you, right? Saying, I chose this beautiful and sustainable gift often carries more weight than just saying, I got the cheapest one. It adds another layer of thoughtfulness.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful. A clear benefit for visibility, for sales, for appealing to both individuals and businesses, especially in gift categories like preserved flowers. So, what's the catch? If it's so good, why isn't everyone doing it? Are sellers finding it difficult to actually, navigate the process and get the badge, even if their product is suitable?
Yeah, that's the practical reality. The idea is great, but the process can be tricky. That's where sellers often get stuck. Even if a product technically qualifies, maybe through Compact by Design, sellers can struggle. Which of those 40-plus certifications is right for my product? Do I have the exact documentation needed? How much do I need to reduce my packaging size to meet the Compact by Design threshold? Then you have to submit everything correctly through Seller Central and wait. It can feel like jumping through a lot of hoops. And honestly, that's where a lot of sellers just give up. They get overwhelmed by the perceived complexity, the paperwork, the uncertainty, and they miss out on that edge.
That makes sense. It sounds like there's a real need for guidance there, which brings up an interesting point. Can the suppliers themselves help? We looked into work by Annie Zhang, the CEO of Sweetie Gift. She's got, 20 years in the flower industry? That's some serious experience. And it sounds like she really understands the whole picture, not just the flowers, but the trends, the markets in the US and Europe, the supply chain details in China. She's worked with big names, Dior, Walgreens. She seems uniquely positioned to maybe bridge that gap between having a qualifying product and actually getting the badge.
Yeah. Exactly. A strategic supplier can be incredibly valuable here, and Annie Zhang's company, Sweetie Gifts, seems like a perfect example of how this can work. They don't just supply the flowers, they focus on providing these strategic advantages with the product. So they actively help their clients with the packaging side, designing custom gift boxes that meet FSC standards, or creating cartons specifically sized to qualify for Compact by Design. They know Amazon's looking for specific efficiency metrics there, and they go further. They help gather the necessary documentation for those third-party certs. They can do fast prototyping with the CPF criteria already baked in. They even offer support with the Seller Central application itself. Basically, they help navigate that whole complex process for the seller. So you're not just buying a product, you're buying a ready-made solution, a product that's designed from the start to be CPF ready, making it much easier to get that badge and start seeing the benefits. It means sellers don't have to become sustainability experts overnight or hire expensive consultants. It's about partnership.
Right. So looking at the bigger picture then, Amazon's clear push rewarding sustainability with things like the CPF badge. Is this just a current trend, or is this really the direction things are heading long term?
Oh, it's definitely more than just a trend. Look at Amazon's actions. They're not just suggesting sustainability, they're building concrete rewards into their platform. Better organic ranking, higher visibility, easier discovery. These directly impact a seller's success, and it's all tied to meeting these criteria. Plus, that consumer demand isn't fading. Remember the 100 million purchases shifting. That tells you where customer preferences are solidifying. Sustainability is becoming table stakes. So the real question for sellers isn't if CPF is valuable. It clearly is. The question is, how quickly can you get qualified before all your competitors do? It's about making those smart design choices, maybe partnering with the right supplier to get that advantage now. It's becoming a fundamental part of succeeding on Amazon.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, we've seen how Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly badge, that little green leaf, is way more than just an icon. It's a proven tool to help products, especially in competitive markets, like preserve flowers, stand out, build trust, boost visibility, and connect with a really powerful consumer trend towards sustainability. It's smart business meeting consumer values.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. As huge platforms like Amazon actively incentivize and reward these sustainable choices, and as we see consumers voting with their wallets, how might this ripple outwards? How could this push for verified, transparent green practices influence other industries, other platforms in the coming years? What does this growing expectation mean for businesses everywhere, not just on Amazon? Something to think about.